Hello folks and welcome to the Vertigo Teaparty and Let's Try Project Highrise. It's developed by SomaSim, published by Casito Games. It's going to be available for Steam, for Windows, Steam Play, and Mac. It is set to be released in the summer of 2016. Currently, I was not able to find any price information. It's going to support Steam achievements and Steam cloud saves. I will have a link to the game and the official websites and the description below the video. I will be playing a free press copy that was provided to me in order to make this video. So what I'm going to do is start a new game and show you the basics, and then we're going to hop into a game where I'm about mid-tier and show you kind of what things look like once you've really got the ball rolling. So when you start, you've got multiple difficulty levels here. And as you might imagine, the top one's the easiest, the bottom one is the hardest. And it looks like it gets substantially harder with each tier. So for example, in Contractor, you start off with a lot of money and it's easy to find tenants. Engineer, you don't start off with as much money, but a decent amount. And again, tenants are fairly easy to find. Architect looks like where it starts to really get tough. You get less money to start with, and the economy is okay, but your costs are a little bit higher. And developer is definitely the toughest. You start out with very little cash. You're going to take a loan out immediately. And the economy itself, the game does have an overall economy that affects your costs, what rent people are willing to pay, things like that. That's going to be pretty rough as well. So there definitely looks like, I haven't tried this level yet, but it definitely looks like there's going to be some things for those of you who are very good at this type of game to challenge yourselves. We're going to go ahead and just start on engineer. Lot size, we'll go with standard, but you can see there's 4 different types here: narrow, short and wide, extra large, and of course a standard. So let's go ahead and, oh, you can also do this. You can like share the random state with other people. If you've played games like this before, you kind of know what I mean. So let's go ahead and get started. So as you might have imagined, this is a game where you build a tower and you build it out so that it has residential, commercial, offices, things like that. And your goal is to attract more people to make more money so that you can make more building areas, make your tower taller, attract more people, make more money, etc. Always the charge to go get more money. So we'll go over the different UI elements a little bit later on. Right now, I just want to kind of build to show you guys how this works. So first of all, we don't have a whole lot of room in here. But let's start with small offices. Let's throw in some small offices. Click on small offices. It doesn't cost us anything. We're just going to build these out. We'll go ahead and do that. Oh, is that enough space there? Oh, there it is. Okay, I just misclicked. So you've got an office space, but now you need to find viable tenants. We're going to ignore the little helper over there. So when you've built, you can see somebody needs to move in by clicking on the button. And when you do that, you can see the various types of offices that can be placed here and how many potential tenants there are. So let's look at the insurance offices. We'll click on that. We'll see the 2 people who want to move in. We're going to see how much they're willing to pay. And we'll also see any kind of demands that they have on the left-hand side. So you'll see all they need is an electrical line, and they also expect coffee services. Very simple stuff. And as you can imagine, as you try to attract bigger or create bigger offices and attract larger clientele, whether it be commercial clientele, retail clientele, or apartment dwellers, they require more and more services. And again, we'll kind of go over that in a minute. So, but for the time being, let's just go ahead and move some people in. We're just going to pick them at random here. Accounting offices, sure thing. Now, right now, it doesn't really matter a whole lot, as far as I can tell, what kind of business moves into offices specifically. So you notice we had financial offices and we had accounting offices. I don't think that has any effect. Now, other types of renters do matter. For example, you can get restaurants at some point, and it's important based on what they serve. Do they serve breakfast only? Do they serve lunch and dinner? Those type of things are important because some offices require dinner, because like a lawyer's office, for example, has people working later. So therefore they need, or they want to have places inside the building that serve dinner. So while these are getting built, we are going to need some services for them. They said we needed the copier service. So we're going to go over here for services, and we're going to look for office services. There's business support and there's residential support. So we're going to go with the business support. Did he say courier or office? I think they said courier. Pretty sure they did. If not, we'll destroy it and we'll remake it. So when you start off, you have a construction office, which can have 2 people. Now, until you get an upgrade later on, this is all the construction offices that you can make. This can be a little bit of a bummer because as you get more and more money and you learn the game better and better, you're probably going to want to build faster and you'll be limited to these two construction workers. Now, again, later on, you can unlock an ability so that you can build additional, like one additional one, but it doesn't seem like it's going to help a ton. Another thing that will help with that is game speed. Well, we're playing at normal speed. There's basically 3 speeds. There's paused, which is self-explanatory. There's normal, which is what we were playing at, and now there's this fast speed. There's no other speeds available, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but even fast might be a little slow for people. And you'll see this icon coming up. That's fine. Let me tell them to go away. But I just kind of want to give you guys an idea of how long this stuff can take to build. So he's just about finished with this last office. And they already finished the courier, which is pretty nice. Come on, hurry up. Okay, so if a building is needing something, they will have it in a yellow triangle. So in this case, they need electricity. So let's go ahead and slow it down to normal speed. And I can also control speeds with your numeric keys. So 1 pauses, or actually no, 1 is normal speed, 2 is fast, spacebar pauses. It's kind of weird, but it's whatever. So we need electricity. And we're probably going to need water as well, but let's go ahead and show the electricity. So to generate electricity, you need transformers. And as you can see, when we click on this transformer here, that was already here when we started the building, it tells you how much electricity it's going to give you, which is 10. It tells you your total production, how much demand you have, and how much utilization you have. Now, obviously, eventually you're going to want to make more of these. And as you add more, it piles them together. So you don't have to worry about tying them all together. As far as I could tell, it automatically kind of builds them together and lets you distribute power without having to worry too much about exactly where you put it. So now we need to run some power. So we're going to click on the utilities tab here. And you can see we've got all kinds of utilities. We're going to eventually have to run electricity, phone, cable, water, and gas. But let's go ahead and just pick electricity. Luckily, running this stuff is super easy. You basically find your breaker box. You need to make these as well for every level. You find the breaker box, and then you run whatever you need from that breaker box. So in this case, we're going to run power, and we'll just run it out. It does cost money, obviously. We do that, and then we're done. So the unhappy faces, you're definitely going to want to look out for, because you do not want people to move out, because you actually lose a little bit of prestige when you do that. And again, we'll cover the nitty-gritty a little bit later. I'm trying to show you kind of how you start off and what the building and management aspect is like. So you definitely do not want people moving out. You can see that they're pissed off, but they're not saying why. The reason that happens a lot of times is because they're missing something like power or phone, and they get pissed off really quick, but they don't adjust their attitude, so to speak, after they've got the power. So they should be fine. However, I have had problems where I hook them up and they still move out, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and actually put one more small office in here, which I totally swore that I did. And we'll make them. Also, if you run out of insurance offices and for whatever reason you're like, no, I want insurance offices, you can place an ad by spending money and then waiting. As you might imagine, more, what is the word I'm looking for? More profitable companies will cost more in ad revenue and sometimes take longer as well. And we're not going to wait on that though. We're just going to throw in an accounting office. And then our construction workers, when they, get tired of reading the paper, will go up there and finish building that out. So let's go ahead and actually start building some onto the tower itself. So first things first, because I know this is coming, I'm going to build one more section out. And because I figure you guys want to see more of the going up than the going out to the side, let's go ahead. I'm going to increase the speed too. Every day you get this budget summary. Shows you your expenses versus your revenue. Everybody pays rent at the end of the day. So makes it easier to keep up with your money. So there's a very easy drag and drop situation, but it's like first things first, you're like, okay, well, how are they going to get up there? We need an elevator. So I'm going to actually build 2 extra over here. I think it's 2 or 3. Let's take a look. I think it's 2. Nope, it's 3. So we're gonna build that for the elevator. Click on our elevator button, put one there, and then put one here. So now, it's kind of weird how elevators work. You basically need to build it out first, or at least build up the 3 spots for the elevator, and then place the elevator. They will somehow take the elevator up to build the elevator. Don't ask questions. And that's it. You can also build stairs. However, people don't like using stairs, especially if they work or live way up high in the tower. So there's really no reason not to use elevators. It's cheaper to use stairs, and I use stairs for underground, and you can actually build, as you can see here, you can build several floors underground. This is more for maintenance and services type stuff. In fact, most offices and apartments, if not all of them, you cannot build underground anyway. So let your employees do all the walking. Don't make your actual tenants, the people paying you money, you don't want them to be upset with you. So we already have the elevator up here. So let's just build, I don't know, let's go ahead and build, do you have, yes, we can build an apartments. Let's go ahead and build one apartment space. And we will select, again, you can kind of see here, we have other options for this small apartment, small studio apartment. But these are X'd out. Why are they X'd out? So when we hover over them, it will tell you exactly the requirements they have. And the green checks will be next to the stuff that you meet. A red X will be requirements that you are not currently meeting. So this one, build costs $175. We had that. We need at least 1 star of prestige, which we don't have it yet, which again, I'll talk about prestige and whatnot later on. It also needs a greater variety of cafes for the deluxe studio apartment. So that's one thing where, unlike a lot of other games where you say, okay, I want a restaurant to go into this spot. I'm gonna slow the timer down again. You don't just say, okay, I want a restaurant to move in here. I want an office. I want a retail store to go in, and the game just randomly generates one. You need to decide, especially with restaurants, what type of store you want. Because 1, some of them pay you more money, even though they have higher demands, and 2, other people within the same building want different types of services. Again, sometimes they want places that serve dinner, sometimes they want places that serve breakfast. So you need to kind of like make the best of that. So anyway, so let's go ahead and just go with a basic studio apartment. You can see that they need both an electrical line and a water pipe hookup. So let's go ahead and get them started building that. And we don't have water yet. Let's go ahead and get that done. Let's click on utilities. We'll click on water. We have the water meters. So there's basically 3 levels of electricity. How do you put this? There's 3 kind of sections of each of these utilities. There's the actual lines which connect everything. The closets, which need to be on every level so that you can basically go up a floor with whatever that service is. And then there is the actual device that generates said resource. So you have electrical transformers to generate electricity. So for water, we need water meters. Now early on, this stuff is going to be super expensive. The ones that are more efficient, that generate more water, are going to be, or power or whatever it is that you need, are going to be more expensive. So you're going to want to get the cheap stuff first. Now, if I was playing long term, I would know that, okay, eventually I'm going to want to make maybe a few of these water things, but eventually sell them and just make smaller ones that are the more expensive ones that generate more, just because they take up less space. And I think they actually cost less maintenance per day than to build a whole bunch of small ones. So once I've got the money, I want to ditch the small ones and replace them with the bigger, more efficient ones, more cost efficient ones. However, they're also bigger in size, as you can see. So if I was playing this long term, you'll want to keep that in mind as you build out. You'll want to keep like your electricity all together, because again, eventually you'll delete it and replace it with a larger section. So now we've got the water meter in here, which again generates the water. So next we're going to want to get a water closet, which is why I built out 1 extra tile here. So let's go ahead and put in the plumbing closet. Again, the closets are what you need for every level. So, and you can see it automatically connects. I really like that they made the utilities super easy to get connected. It's not like its own nightmare like, you know, traffic correction would be in a city building game. It's very, very easy to do. You can get yourself in a bind if you forget to build your closets, but for the most part, it's really easy to take care of. So let's actually pause because she's going to get really mad because they don't have any water, but she's already moved in. So now, of course, we need to move we need closets up top for both electricity and water. Now, with the electricity closet, and I'm just placing it here to show you how this works. You could just place it anywhere, basically. And if there is an electrical line below it, or a matching utility line below it, I should say, it'll auto-connect. So if I put the water over here, for some bizarre reason, it's not going to connect automatically. Even if I put the water pipe over here. Well, it actually won't even let me build it, because it has no water flow. But if I just drag this over, now it feeds up, and now I can drag water into their basement, or into, hopefully not in their basement, but they now have water. Oh, they need electricity though. It's gonna be very upset. Cannot get on the internet. All right. So again, the simple apartments only need the bare bones stuff. They just need power and water. That's it. But again, as you move up, unlock bigger apartments, more rent-paying apartments, and just more luxurious apartments, they're going to require more and more and more. Some of these requirements are things like that you need a variety of cafe types, a variety of retail stores, a grocery store, stuff like that. So you have to keep that kind of thing in mind. So let's try to think if there's anything there's really extra we need to show here before we really jump into it. Because right now, actually, you know what? We can build a restaurant here. We'll click on it. See, what do we want? Food, fast food, food court. There we go. We'll just pick this one. All they need is an electrical line. This one speed up time. Run that electrical line over. You can right click to get any out of any kind of mode and just wait for this to be built. And then we'll hop on over to the game that I've got going on that's I'm a couple hours in and is doing all right as far as money here goes. And eventually, you don't have to worry about hiring people for any of these places. They pay you rent, you don't pay them. So all of that's taken care of in the background. And you actually can see people go to the restaurants and the stores and whatnot. You actually do want to kind of pay attention on that. You can also click any like store, resident, office, whatever, and get a lot of information. You can see how happy they are. There's 3 types of happiness. There's unhappy, there's happy, and then there's very happy. Very happy is very good, because if you have a whole lot of very happy tenants, you get extra prestige, which again, I haven't forgot about, we will cover. You can also control their rent here. You can lower it, which makes them happier, or you can raise it, which gets you more money, but obviously probably is not going to make them very happy. One thing you have to keep in mind with your rent is the state of the economic level. You can figure that out by pressing the money here and then clicking on the rent slider. This tells you here at the bottom the economy forecast. So right now it's stable, neither improving nor declining. So it's okay right now. If you're in a depression, everybody's going to start complaining that their rent's too high. Especially the longer depression goes, it seems like more and more people are going to complain about the rent. And you might consider dropping the rent depending. If you really want their happiness to increase your prestige, then definitely drop it. However, if you just basically want them just happy enough to not move out, then maybe just leave them where it is. Though the contrary applies as well. So if the economy is doing very well, you might go in here and bump up the rent of all the offices and whatnot. And you also can control individual rooms rents as well. So if, for example, I wanted to raise these guys' rent just because they're doing so well and they're so thrilled with me, which they're not, they're like neutral right now. Then I could raise the rent. Actually, I think I made the wrong thing, didn't I? I made courier. Well, that's an easy thing to fix. We'll delete it. Yes. We'll kick them out. Sorry about that. We'll go back to business services. Or I copy. Yes, business services. And the services will show you how much the demand there's there. It says not present, but desired by tenants. So we know we need to build this. We need to wait for them to move out the previous renters stuff, which is kind of strange. You'd think they would take it themselves. Maybe just everybody is a bad renter and just big jerks. So when you kick them out, they leave a bunch of junk, which I guess if you kick them out, I can understand that. But if they move on their own, they do the same thing. All right, so now we'll put the copier center in there, and then they'll have to go build it. And then these offices will cry just a little bit less. Lastly, you can see their work hours, and you can hover over this to see their opinions or the people who live there's opinions. This person seems pretty happy, and the last thing they thought was, that was a good lunch. So, you got the basics. You kind of understand roughly how this works. So let's go ahead and go out to the main menu. Let's go ahead and load up my main game. Now, this is going to be a bit sloppy, because one, it was the first time playing, and obviously I didn't understand a lot of some of the intricacies of what was going on. And my preferred style of building in a game like this, which I guess there's not a ton of them, is actually to build out wide first and then build up. However, I did want to kind of show you guys the max height for like this sandbox type area, and this is 40 floors. You can tell if I go and switch into this mode. And again, we're going to cover the UI and everything right about now, as well as again some of the more intricate details. But you can see our max level or our max height is 40 floors. You can extend that up to 80 with a basically special upgrade. So especially if you want a higher tower, just for looks wise, that can pay off. Another reason it actually benefits you to make higher towers is because some residents, and I think even some offices and whatnot, like to be higher up. So I don't know if it's just like a flag that says, okay, I'm over level 40, I'm happy, or if it's like the higher up you go, the more happy they are. I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, I kind of just threw this up there quickly so you guys could see how that worked. So let's start to dig into the UI first of all, as you kind of watch my little people run around and do their thing. First of all, we have our overlays. Now you have a lot of different options here. Satisfaction, obviously green means they're happy, red means they're not. Profitability, these are basically, obviously not, offices aren't making money, but the stores and whatnot, this tells you if they're profitable or not. Looks like I'm actually having some issues. Some of my stores are in the red. Their rent might be too high. Again, right now in this game, it's actually a depressed economy, and people are complaining about their rent. So people have less money to spend, so I need to lower their rent, one, to make them happy, and two, so that they're profitable and do not move out. Aesthetics, this just talks about how nice certain buildings of your areas look. This is the only place of mine that looks good because they have artwork in there. View, none of these, well, you can see as we go up higher, these are turning green, so the higher we go up, the darker green it gets. So people will be happier if they have houses up there and things like that. Traffic just shows the overall foot traffic. Obviously, right here is going to have a ton of traffic because this is where people are coming in, and everything by the elevators are busy as well. I tried to generally, once I kind of got the flow of things, what I try to do is, if, for example, if you look here, no, escape doesn't close the overlay. I wish it did. Anyway, minor, very minor thing. So what I usually try to do once I kind of started getting retails and restaurants, I would try to put the retail or the restaurants here and then the offices on the other side, because restaurants really like high traffic areas, because I think that increases the chances of somebody eating there. So, and again, I haven't tested this, but my theory is if you've got a bunch of offices over here and these people are having to walk by these places 2 times a day, at least once to come in, once to go home, there's an increased chance they will stop there to eat. Again, I don't know if it actually works that way, but they're always happy that they like being in high traffic areas, as you can see from here. So that seems to be okay. Anyway, let's also look at elevators. This one's probably not as useful, but it shows you, I guess, how quickly people can access elevators. I only have 1 elevator. You don't have to be limited. You can have 2, 3, 4, however many you want to do. Noise. This shows noise generation. This is really important for things like residences, and I believe some offices do not like a lot of noise. And restaurants and retail stores tend to generate a decent amount of noise. So you want to keep that in mind when you're building. Smells. Again, restaurants tend to be the only thing that generates smells. A garbage can as well. As you can see here, I have a trash bin on this floor. Some things, again, require a trash bin to be available on that floor. Of course, the negative is the trash bins generate stink, and you need somebody to pick up the trash. So far, it's not been a big issue though. It's just been I just put one at the very end of the building. That way it's far away from as much stuff as possible. I put my power and my water closets between them, trying to maximize how much space I've got between the trash and basically anybody else, because I'm fairly sure nobody wants to be right next to the trash. Trash shows, I think, just like laying around trash. I've actually never had a problem with this, so I'm not quite sure when that would come in handy. Grime is these offices over time will just become broken down, and you'll need maintenance people to go to fix it up. We're going to say off, to turn it off. And one thing I do every day, and this is kind of one of my initial complaints with the game, it's fairly minor, is that your maintenance guys are the ones, they automatically fix elevators that break down, but they also basically, they renovate offices. These offices that you can see, I'm going to tell them to do it. But you can see like this office here, it's got like the nasty stuff kind of coming down from the ceiling. That means it's not a good office. It's being run down. It's just nasty and dirty. And usually the employees will say something. Like he says, I can't stand how grimy the walls are getting here. And the other employee also says, I don't want to be here if it's dirty. And if the employees are unhappy, that makes the renter unhappy. And if the renter gets too unhappy based on the employees and other things, again, they will move out, which is not good. So the maintenance, you can tell them to renovate all tenants. The thing I don't like about that is I don't like having to just go to it all the time. I wish you could just say, okay, if a tenant needs to be renovated, just do it. I can understand why you wouldn't do it if you were trying to run a slummish tower, or if money was super tight, because it does cost money to renovate based on however many offices and restaurants, etc. need it. But so if you were really tight on money, you might not want to do it, or maybe just do select offices with the most unhappy people. But generally speaking, I wish I could just toggle it on. I wish I could just say, go clean them up. I don't want to have to do this. I've just gotten in the habit of where I do it at the morning of every day, but it could just be a little bit of a time saver. So anyway, let's continue looking at the interface. Utilities, this is fairly self-explanatory. It shows you where your utilities are going, all designated by different colors. And one thing I forgot to mention before, there's only 2 closets, which I really, really like, that there's not one utility closet for every single utility. Let me close this out. That's really annoying. Escape should close everything. So you have the electrical closet, which is actually electrical, phone, and cable TV, which is here. And then you have the water closet, which is actually water and natural gas. So I really like that, so you don't have 5 freaking closets on every single floor. Luckily, they saved you that and compiled them a little bit better. So that was pretty awesome. And you can, of course, check and uncheck certain lines if you want to. Last is the construction grid. We've seen this a few times. It just shows you where you can build. And on the right-hand side, you'll see various information, such as how wide your building currently is, how many floors it is, and how many tiles. You'll also see that there's maxes. So even if I build within the parameters of the 70 tiles by 40 floors, I still might run out of actual tiles because there's only 3,500 tiles. So keep that in mind. Again, that is something that you can upgrade later on, but I don't think you can ever completely remove the limit. And then, this is talking about the basement. The basement's usually a non-issue for the most part. So that's that section. And over here, you'll have contracts, which I'll actually show you that in a minute. This is just speed. This is the current time. Now, prestige. Prestige determines your access to a lot of things. For example, how big of offices you can build, how big of apartments you can build, what kind of... I think some contracts might be limited by your prestige as well. A lot of things are limited by your prestige. So you can't, like, right when you build a building, you can't make a luxury apartment because you have to get your tower's prestige up to that level. You gain prestige from a few different things that you can see here. As your population goes up, and the population is measured by how many people work there and by how many people live there, combined, it's just all combined together. So every time you hit a milestone, you get 1 more prestige levels, or 1 more prestige level. If you have a lot of happy clients, or happy tenants rather, you'll get prestige from that, which again, if you're doing okay on money, but you'd rather have the prestige, You might lower everybody's rent to make them happier, which would again help your prestige. Artwork also helps. Artwork is very expensive though. The cheapest artwork is like $5,000 and doesn't help a ton, but it is an option if you've got a lot of money. Completing special contracts. We'll go over contracts in a little bit. And negatives, move outs and evictions. Again, if people move out, that does hurt your prestige level, especially if they move out because they're pissed off. And that's generally in this game the only reason they ever move out, or they just run out of business, which is also bad for you. I would say you have population count, which I talked about, that's your tenants plus apartment dwellers. And then you have visitors. Visitors, people who don't work or live here, but come to visit for artwork, for stores, for whatever reason. You want those people here because they will spend money in your shops and make your shop owners happy. You can also take out loans. There's different types of loans. You can take out different amounts from different areas. And again, this is limited. Again, I can't get an annuity fund because I don't have enough prestige. So it all ties back to prestige. But again, like for example, this commercial bank, I can get a 100, is that 100,000? No, that's 10,000. Yes. $10,000 loan, and I just pay it back at 30 payments of 400. Next one is 15,000, 30 payments of 600, etc. I haven't had to take a loan out yet. Again, keep in mind this is on like what I would consider to be the normal difficulty, so that's not unusual. Also, I find that if you're having money issues, one thing you can do, unless you're facing any crises, like not having enough electricity or something like that, then it's very easy to just put the speed on max and just kind of let it sit there for a couple of days. As long as you're in the black, as long as you're making money, you'll be fine. Like I did that just because I was doing some experimentation, and that let me build up my money. That's why I've got like $20,000, because I kind of let it just sit here for a couple of days without me building out anything. So that is an option if you start running into money problems. By the way, there's one other cool thing about this interface that I really like. Notice how these two numbers here, notice how those are kind of flashing orange. One cool thing about this game is when something on the UI when you have access to something new, that icon will glow orange. So for example, if I hit a new prestige level and I had a new tenant that became, like, let's say the large office became available because I got one more star, this would flash orange. That way I don't have to dig around and go, okay, what's new? Like, did I have access to this before? Things like that. It actually shows me, oh yeah, this is available now. I love that. It's a very small thing, but it's very useful. Now in this case, it's favor and influence. So first we're going to click on favor. The reason it's glowing is because you have to have X amount of buzz to spend on even the cheapest thing. And once you cross that threshold, again, it will switch to orange so that you know, hey, you can spend this buzz, even though you don't have to. So buzz is generated from like your retail stores and your restaurants. A lot of people go in the restaurants and stores. That's the other reason you want your stores busy, is because not only are you making those store owners happy, it generates buzz for you. And with buzz, you can take out various media campaigns that affect various aspects of your tower. So for example, this stuff is mostly like apartment focusing buzz or media campaigns. This is infrastructure, retail, and restaurants and offices. So I'm not going to go over all of them, but just an example, let's look at offices. The cheapest one, which is 600 buzz, increases the satisfaction of all office workers. One step up at 720 buzz, phone construction and daily costs drops by 50%. Now keep in mind, this only lasts 24 hours. So early on, a lot of these aren't very good because you're not generating a lot of buzz. So lowering the cost of phones by 50% for a day, that's not going to be super great because it's probably not costing you that much. But again, later on when you really start generating buzz, it can be useful. However, I believe, and I could be wrong in this, I believe that as you buy these, I think the price of them goes up. So it's not going to be 600 forever to do the Happy Drones campaign, I don't believe. But that's something to keep in mind. So, and at the high, I see the third option here, 840, office construction costs minus 50% and gain extra potential office tenants. So if you know you're going to build a bunch of offices, maybe save up and get this and then build them all at once, because not only will it be cheaper, but it will also get you, it'll more office tenants will show up as possible, well, tenants. And then the last one is take out one extra loan. Normally you can only take 2 loans out. This one lets you take out a 3rd one. So kind of the same, you know, and it's the same up here for apartments and for infrastructure, etc. And again, buzz generated by busy restaurants and stores, retail stores. We have, so this is influence. Influence is a little bit more nebulous. It's generated by, I think, offices. Comes from your apartment residents and from select offices. I haven't really been able to nail down what exactly generates office influence. I don't know if they're happier. Will they generate more office or influence? Do small offices generate influence ever? I'm not 100% sure on that. Now, typically, when something generates like buzz, and I'm going to speed it up just so you can watch, you'll see like I'm getting buzz here, and people are getting upset because this elevator is down, and our maintenance guy needs to get off his butt and get over there and fix it. But you can see these restaurants are generating buzz, but you get a lot less influence, or at least I've been getting a lot less influence. So it's hard for me to kind of catch when it happens to see, like, okay, why did this office generate influence? So a little bit more unclear as to what that does. However, with influence, you can access consultants. You have 3 different consultants: aesthetics, politics, and operations. You'll need to build the offices for them first, which I've obviously done for aesthetics and politics. I have not done that for operations. Each one has a tree of things that you can go down and unlock. So, for example, under our athletics, the first thing you can unlock is you can make small artworks, or you can buy small artworks, and small artworks increase your prestige. And then later on, you can make an art studio, which itself just generates buzz. That's basically all it does. And then this 3rd one, which I actually have not gotten yet, that's why it's got the hands on it. If I get this one, unlocks medium artwork, which increases tenant happiness and prestige. So this makes it so I can buy medium artworks. Again, I cannot buy medium artwork unless I have this. And not only does it increase my prestige, but it also makes everybody happier, which again, might not be a bad idea, because that in itself can help to generate additional prestige because your folks are happy. And of course, it goes down the line. And operations is one you'll definitely want to go down if you really want to focus just on building a lot, because you can make additional construction workers so that you build things faster. Maintenance will be faster. The maintenance is a big one, because as you play and you're getting more and more rooms, the degradation of the rooms it doesn't get worse, but because you've got so many rooms, it becomes to overwhelm your maintenance guy. And by default, you can only have 2 maintenance rooms, which means 4 maintenance guys total, I believe. Maintenance guys and gals to try to do everything. They're both keeping track or renovating all these buildings or these offices. They're also repairing the elevators. So they're going to be very, very busy. So optimizing your maintenance, for example, this one makes all maintenance workers work 50% faster. That's very, very important. Another thing you can do is optimizing your services, like copier service. Remember earlier on when I built that small offices, they required a copier service. You can't just build one copier service and that's it forever. They have certain capacities that they can meet, basically. And once they run out, you just have to build another one. Well, if you want to maximize your space, you can buy this so that they work faster. That way you need to make less of them. And again, politics, kind of the same thing. You can increase your height limits. You can increase how many tiles you make. You can build a train station underneath your building so that more visitors will come in, things of that nature. And that is stuff that you can buy with influence. So under here is more of our building stuff. We have our infrastructure. This is just adding more floor tiles, as you saw before. Close that out. And we can build stairs, which again, we don't almost ever do. We have elevators, and later on you can upgrade exclusive elevators. The typical elevators have to start on the ground floor. Like I couldn't just build an elevator over here, like a regular elevator. It has to start on the bottom floor and go up. These can start anywhere, but I haven't unlocked those yet. We have building staff type stuff, maintenance. As you can see, I've already built my 2 maintenance stations, but it says there's only 2 that I can have, which is kind of a bummer, especially as you build up. You really, really need those additional maintenance guys. You can build larger maintenance folks, which again requires an upgrade. Trash. Again, some later buildings require that you have trash and or recycling bins on the same floor. And of course you need the collection rooms because somebody needs to come and collect that and put it somewhere. That's where these rooms go, and generally I would put those underground if at all possible. Store rooms, there's really only one. Some retail offices require storage, and each storage room can hold stuff for one retail section. So you definitely want to keep up with those as well. And again, it doesn't seem to matter where you place those. Wow, that was really loud. It doesn't seem to really matter where you place those. Again, I placed them all underground because there's no reason for them not to be. It doesn't seem to be. In the metro, I can't build one because I already have one. That's where our visitor, you can see visitors coming in, which again makes our stores happy. So that is just the basic construction. We have our utilities. We've covered the utilities. I think you understand how all that works. Bulldoze, very simple, very easy to explain. If I just want to destroy this apartment, I could just, actually we'll do that. We'll destroy this guy's apartment. Actually, we're not going to do that. But it's very easy to break stuff. We have our offices. It goes from small, medium, large, and HQ. And again, as you can imagine, to go higher and higher up, you need more and more prestige. And not only that, as you get more prestige, you require additional things as well. So let's go ahead and build this here just to kind of show you that. So we've got a medium office, which is the biggest I can make right now. Let's see. I can actually do all of these. It's interesting. But if we look at, usually the rent they pay is like at least roughly tied. Let's go ahead and slow down time. Is at least roughly tied to the services they require. So offices that require more services tend to pay more in rent. So for example, I can show you now. Medical offices, they require electrical, phone, and water. However, other ones like this creative, they pay less rent, $330 versus $300 to $290, but they don't require the water. They also might not require they don't require the same services. So for example, medical requires courier, bottled water, janitorial, and file storage. While this creative requires courier, office supplies, janitorial, and commercial printing services. So, and again, services are the things that we built earlier, like the copying service, and basically stuck down into the basement. But again, you do want to keep track of that because eventually, as you build more and more of that type of office, you're going to need more courier services, more copier services, things of that nature. And let's see, who's the most expensive? $355 probably is going to be it. Yeah. So financial offices, they require, let's see, 3 prestige. We've got that easily. They need electricity. They need phone. They also prefer upper floors, and they hate noisy areas. So small offices don't have that problem. Just to kind of show you very quickly. Oops, I did not mean to do that. It actually left the stuff there even though they never moved in. That's fine. So you can see very basic stuff here, just electricity. They don't need, or the creative offices rather, even the small creative offices require less than the mediums, right? Does that make sense? Sorry, I messed myself up when I switched around. Oh yeah, see, these guys hate noisy and they hate smelly, right? But on small, they don't really care, right? It doesn't mention that at all. It doesn't mention that they hate that. So that's when you really need to keep in mind, yeah, it's great that these guys pull in, make you a lot more money based on the space that they're taking up, but you need a lot more planning when it comes to where you put them. So small offices, you stick them anywhere. It doesn't matter if you stick them next to a garbage can or a noisy restaurant. They don't really care. Or if they care, they're not saying anything. However, once you start to get to these more rent-paying guys, they expect more from you. They don't want to be next to the noisy restaurants or the trash cans. So that's one of the things you're going to need to keep in mind when you're planning things out. Anyway, I feel like I kind of hammered that point home a little bit more than we needed to. Let's see, that's the offices. We have the apartments. There's a lot of different apartments. We have the tiny studio apartment, small 1-bed, small 2-bed, large 2-bed, a duplex 2-bed, and a expensive loft apartment. I don't even want to think about what these guys require. And this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky, because let's say we wanted to throw in what's the biggest we could put in here? Small 2-bed? Yes. So let's say we put in this small 2-bed. We're gonna put you right here. So we click on it, and oh look, we can't build there even though it allowed us to do so. This is one thing that's kind of annoying, because a lot of times I'll say, oh sweet, I unlocked this. Let me build something so I can build up enough space so I can try this small 2-bedroom apartment. I place the building, or I place this, and then I'm like, oh, well I can't actually build it because I'm missing some other requirements. I wish that, and I don't know how they would do this easily because of the different sections or subsections. I wish you could see what an office or retail store or whatever required before you actually placed it down. Because again, you run into these situations like, well, oh, well, damn it, I can't actually use this. And if you destroy it, I don't think you really lose any money, but you waste your construction workers' time because now they have to go clear up the stuff. But as you can see here, as far as requirements, what we're missing here, we need a greater variety of small restaurants, a greater variety of small stores, and a greater variety of stores that sell food and groceries. And it also requires electrical, cable, and water. And they also expect trash and recycling bins. So again, as you start moving up into bigger, more rent-paying tenants, they obviously have much higher expectations. So they make more money, but you do have to compensate for that. So I could see that as being an interesting strategy where you focus almost primarily on mid to low tier stuff so that you don't deal with these people requiring a lot. You probably could still be fairly successful versus trying to mix and match, like have some mid, some low, some high, high-paying tenants. It could be interesting. Or you could even like maybe later go on and delete these small offices and replace them with medium or large. So anyway, so that's housing. Restaurants, we have small cafe or food court vendor, medium diner or restaurant, large restaurant, and gourmet restaurant. So again, let's kind of show that real quick. We'll look large. Nope, we do not have room for a large. Let's go with a medium. And again, you can kind of see the different types of things we have here. Fast food. And when, again, the important thing with this is to look at what they serve. They serve lunch and dinner. Food, basically, these are what they serve is based on the type that they are. For example, all fast food serve lunch and dinner. All diners serve breakfast and lunch. All sandwich shops do breakfast and lunch, etc. Right on down through the whole thing. So that's important to keep in mind that you're trying to cover everything: breakfast, lunches, and dinners, based on the needs of the people who come in, and to, of course, draw in visitors as well. All right, so let's see, that's all the restaurants. You can also do retail stores. I'm not going to bother well, let's go ahead and make one. What the heck? It's a medium retail store. You can actually build a lot of these. I haven't seen anybody demand a specific type of retail store, but more, I have seen things like we saw before with the apartment, where they said they wanted a greater variety. So you still want to kind of mix it up. Yes, it kind of sucks that some of these aren't going to pay as much rent as the others, but to draw in different offices and different residents, you're going to need to mix up your retail, the type of retail stores that you have, and the same goes with restaurants as well. So this is services. We covered that pretty much before. We've got all the various services for the commercial stuff, like printing, auditing services, things like that. And then you have services for your apartments: handyman services, plumber, dog walking, things of that nature. And obviously, as you go down and they get more expensive, these are more catering towards the expensive, large luxury apartments. Let's see, and then here are our consultants. Consultants are tied with the influence that we talked about earlier. We have the aesthetics, the politics, and the operations. And as you unlock certain things in that tree, and as you build offices, it unlocks sub things in here, like being able to build an art dealer, politics. I thought I built the politic office. Oh, I think it's grayed out because I already built one. That's right. And then the construction office I need to make if I want to go down the construction tree. But if I don't care about it, I don't need to do that. Now this is decoration. Decoration, as far as I can tell, is purely cosmetic. I don't think it doesn't cost any money, and it doesn't seem to have any effect on like people's perception of anything. It doesn't really matter. Like I say, it's all free. So I think this just for you to kind of spruce these areas up. The only place you can really even do this though is like in unused spaces. And I am the type, I'm going to try to squeeze in as many people as I want. For those of you who are more creative than I am and want to go with a more pleasing to the eye look, and you might have more open spaces that aren't being used, like right here and right here, you'll probably want to make use of that tool. Again, but it's purely cosmetic, as far as I can tell. Now, artwork, on the other hand, does have a very real effect. It does affect your favor, and I think it can also improve tenant happiness. I think we talked about before. But as you can see, we can't buy any of the medium stuff because I don't have the consultant upgrade, which is fine. But I can buy, I can buy a sculpture and put it up here. There we go. And that actually did increase my prestige. And when my prestige increased, you can see this little guy turns orange, showing that, oh, now I have access to large offices, which is cool. That's a really cool UI feature I like quite a lot. So that's art. And again, as you move up, you can unlock different things that cost more and more money. Like these are 10,000. So those are fairly big things to get. Contracts. You can have 2 contracts at a time. Contracts are basically do this thing and get money or something else. Usually it's money though. Or prestige, like this one gives you prestige and money. And honestly, if a contract doesn't pay money up front, and at this level most of them do, it's not worth picking, because even if, like, let's say we have a contract that says something like get a population of 50 people. Well, if I never picked that contract yet and I later have 100 people, that contract will still be available. So I can pick it up and it will immediately flip over and be successful, and I get that money. So unless they pay you money up front, it's not really worth it to get it, because you can't cancel a contract. As far as I can tell, I don't think you can actually get rid of it. Yeah, once you've got it, you've got it. So you better be, and since you've only got 2 that you can have active at a time, you better pick wisely. But part of your picking process may be, like, well, this one might be a little bit difficult, but it pays me $1,500 up front, and I really need that money. So I want to go ahead and do that one. So other than that, contract's pretty pretty standard. It'll be things like, what is this? This time, about plan for 12 medium offices and attract a varied group of white-collar professionals. So that one's very easy. Just need a bunch of medium offices. Let's see. Increase the number of office workers in your building to 250. Again, pretty standard stuff. Nothing too crazy there. And just about lastly, we have our reports. This is just your general reports. I'll go over these very quickly since we're going a bit long here, to say the least. We have our budget overview, which gives you a bird's eye view of what your budget for the day is looking like and what it looked like yesterday. A breakdown of your budgets, where your money's coming in, where your money's going out, who your tenants are, again, on a more bird's eye level, offices, restaurants, etc. And you can click on these things to sort them out. So if you want to sort by rent versus, count, whatever. Tenant listing, this is like every single tenant that you have. Infrastructure costs, how many you have, etc. Services, this is something you may want to keep an eye on, because again, like for example, if you look at the courier, they're falling behind because they got 127 calls and 116 were successful, even though the day's not over yet, I guess. And it will show you fails here. So you got to be careful. Once those numbers get close, you might want to go ahead and get ahead of it and build a courier. Let's see, utilities reports. This shows you how much utility is available and how much it's costing you right now. Population. This is kind of nice. It shows you how many people are very happy, satisfied, and unhappy. Because again, if you want more prestige, you want to make more people very happy. And let's see, visitor report. This shows you people, how many visitors you've had and why they visited. Now, some people will actually come to visit the offices. I've actually watched somebody come in. He went to an office and then left. I don't quite understand why that is. I guess maybe they're meeting somebody at the office. Maybe they're a client of that office. I'm not sure. But I do wish you could kind of see if they generated any money. But anyway, but that is your visitors. Art and aesthetic. This tells you all the different types of art that you have, and anything giving you prestige is what you actually care about. This is all the free stuff that I made. As you can see, it has no effect on anything. Prestige rating. This is basically just what shows when you hover over the star, so it's a little bit superfluous. And population feedback. This is like what people have been thinking the most. So what they've been thinking the most is it's lunchtime. I'd much rather them think that than this building stinks very, very badly, and I'm unhappy and I want to move out. Let's see. Last, our settings we'll go over quickly. Change the language, which right now I've only got English. Time formats. For some reason, it doesn't let me change in game. Once I'm out of a game, at the main menu, I can change some of these. Number formats. You can reset your hints, things like that. Graphical options, very, very basic graphical options. You can be full screen or not. You got your resolutions, an overall quality setting. You can't really go into the bells and whistles, I don't think. And just the interface scale. Sound, music, and effects can be separated. You can change. You can't do the keyboard shortcuts even here, which is really weird. This game is not full. Like, this game is not out yet, obviously, as I mentioned before. So keep in mind some of this stuff might change. And about is just the general, what you would expect to be about. So that is Project Highrise. Again, sorry we went on so long, but in a game like this, there's just a lot of things to cover. And just to kind of show you very quickly, I was going to build something with gas up at the top. To kind of show you how easy that is, let's say we're going to start having to go up with gas. So we're going to go to our utilities, and we'll switch to gas. And you'll see I've got gas running down here, but nothing above, because very few things, at least the level I'm playing at, require gas. But because gas and water share a closet, I can just run it over here. And now it's connected on this level. So now I run way over here. And now those two are connected automatically. Move up. These two are connected automatically. Move it over. And now I can start making plumbing closets here. And you can see it automatically connected. And that's the same with water, electricity, phone, all of them, which is pretty nice. So yeah, I think that's pretty much. Oh, there's one last thing. Let's go back to the main menu. One little thing, a few quick things I wanted to mention before we go back, actually. Power and water and basically your utilities, a lot of times I don't find that they're out until I've already built offices that require them and run the lines, and then it tells me they're out. I wish that there was a way to just click and quickly see how much you're generating. Yes, you can go into the report and then go to the utilities and kind of see. And it's only 2 clicks, which is not a big deal. But I kind of wish there was something out here that would show you. You can also click on the closets themselves, or I'm sorry, I'm going to call them generators. You can click on the various generators themselves, and it'll tell you like, okay, natural gas, I'm only using 18%, plenty to go. 51% on power, 73% on phone, etc. So if you know where your main generators are, you can click on those. Again, and it's a very small detail, but it's one of those things that I wish you could quickly at a glance kind of see. But overall, it does a good job of trying to present all the information to you without overwhelming you. And I also like the graphical style. I'll kind of zoom in here. I should have did that earlier so you can really get an idea of what it looks like. I like this style. It's got kind of a, I want to say Art Deco, but I could totally be wrong because art's not my thing. Kind of a look to it. It's kind of cool. And I think the game is set like in the 50s or 60s, I believe. So it's a little bit more appropriate. So anyway, one last thing I want to show you. We're going to go back to the main menu. There is tutorials to teach you everything. Mod support, which obviously game's not out yet, so there's no mods for it just yet. And I want to check something now that see, so you can change all this stuff if you go back to the main menu. And some things I guess I can sort of understand not being able to change in game, like the graphics, but the keyboard binds, like I don't quite get that. Again, hopefully that's something that they fix before the game goes live. Lastly, there are scenarios, and as you can see, you have to unlock the further down scenarios. Like this one says you need to get at least 1 medal in scenario neighborhood revitalization. I don't really like that. But let's talk about the scenarios first. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So these are if you played these types of games before, you kind of know what we're talking about here. They kind of set up a situation ahead of time, and you have to meet certain objectives, and then you win, basically. So, for example, this one, neighborhood revitalization. I know I'm not saying that correctly. I'm not going to read all that. The basic idea is that this building used to be great, but it's become run down and nasty. But it does house one piece of important artwork. So they really want the city wants to help you get this city or get this building back to its former splendor. So you will basically start with a rundown building with a nice piece of artwork, and you will try to build it back up to its former glory. There's not really a whole lot of other mods. It does say your task is to revive the building. Landmark Commission will arrange for subsidies for floor and infrastructure construction. I didn't play this scenario very long, but when I did, I never saw anything that would indicate that my construction costs would be subsidized. So I don't know if maybe that's a random event or what happens, or maybe it's just built in and I never noticed the price difference. I'm honestly not sure. But supposedly, I guess they help you with construction costs. And it does have a difficulty rating of easy. So this one's medium and then this one's easy. And just to give you an idea of what some of these other ones do. This one, this is, you're supposed to focus on building a tower that's mostly residential, mostly apartments. For this one, you don't have to just do apartments, but all of your goals are based on that. So if we just, for example, we'll just pick it to play. And we're not going to actually play it, but I just want to show you. When it comes up, it tells you your scenario goals, and you can always check these from the top left. But you can see the first goal is to have 100 residents and 8 stores. Second goal is to have 150 residents and 12 restaurants and 50 visitors at one time. And the last goal is to have 250 residents and 30% or 30 prestige and 10 luxury lofts. I think these are the medals, like before how that thing said you must get at least 1 medal in this scenario to unlock this scenario. I think that's what those are for, because they're sequential. You can't get this one without getting the other ones, because you can't have 250 residents without having 100, right? So that's a little bit odd, and again, you can access that by clicking there. But I don't really like locked scenarios like that. It's not a big deal, and some folks might not mind, but I feel like if you're a better player, like those of you who have played games like this a lot, could probably jump right in and could probably jump straight to some of the medium or hard scenarios. So it would kind of suck for the people who want to do that to kind of be stuck playing the easy ones when they really don't want to, when they really want to jump ahead. And I feel like it doesn't really add anything to the game by doing that. But again, that's fairly minor. A lot of people probably won't care about that. But anyway, that is Project Highrise. Overall, I enjoy it quite a bit. I like the progression feels fairly good paced, where I feel like I'm getting access to new things, but not being overwhelmed. It's not like, okay, you've hit 9 prestige, boom, here's 5 different new things that you can build, and all of those things require all this other sub stuff. It feels like it's kind of feeding it to you at a level. It's like, oh, okay, I can build a new apartment. Oh, this apartment needs more variety in stores. So, oh yeah, I can knock that out. And while you're doing that, you're gaining other things that are, more people, so that you can get more prestige, and you're making more money so you can buy art to increase your prestige, things like that. So I like the pacing of the upgrades that are being made available to you. Again, it feels like you're making progress, but at the same time, especially for a new player, it doesn't feel like I'm getting overwhelmed. Now, the problem, of course, with a new player is you make mistakes like I did, where you place residential areas right next to a restaurant or a retail store, and they hate that. They don't like the smell and they don't like the sounds. But, lesson learned. And you can always delete those tenants and replace them with something else if you make a mistake like that. It's not like you're boned forever. But yeah, it's quite interesting. It's very fun, and I like that you can make your towers differently. I've seen some pictures of people kind of doing a twin, like 2 towers side by side but connected occasionally with a walkway going through the middle. Stuff. Well, actually, I guess you cannot do that because you can't build a floor without a floor underneath it, if that makes sense. So you couldn't really make a bridge, I don't think. Not easily. I'm not sure how that would work. But anyway, yeah, it's a cool game. Definitely check it out. And again, it will be available summer 2016. I was looking everywhere for a solid release date and for a price. I couldn't find it. So sorry about that. But I did put a link to the Steam page and to the official page and the link or the description below the video. So anyways, enough for me rambling on and on. Thank you guys for watching. As always, make sure to leave comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of this video and of this game, and especially if you buy this game, what you think about it. Follow me on Twitter as well, and I'll see you next time.